This is the Human First AI Marketing Podcast, and I'm your host, Mike Montague with Avenue 9. Find us at avenue9.com. My guest this week, I'm really excited about Dan Cumberland from The Meaning Movement, and he made it easy too. It's themeaningmovement.com, and you can find us both on LinkedIn and all the good places where you find people. But I'm really excited to talk to you, Dan, because we've been on this very similar journey that we've been going through, flow and meaning and kind of getting burned out. And I always say that, like, if you climb the corporate ladder high enough, you see that, like, all there is more ladder. There's more ladder if you want it.
There's no
but
end.
It's not really leaning against anything. And the view really isn't that great either.
You get up to the top and you just realize
tell us a little bit of your story.
You get up to the top and you realize you're just back at the bottom. It's actually not a ladder, it's a loop, and you're just continually. It's a hamster wheel. You're on the outside climbing.
Oh, that's interesting. I like that.
Yes.
So to jump in with the human part first, tell us a little bit about your story. You've started and launched, sold, exited.
Yeah, I've done a couple things. I'll go way back. I started my career in ministry, and pretty quickly found out that was just not the right fit for me. But had no other plan. That was what I was going to do. And especially when it comes to ministry with a capital C, calling, it's hard to like think about, okay, what's wrong if this isn't working for me. So I had a bit of I had my first life crisis much earlier than a lot of folks, in my early 20s.
Quite quarter life crisis.
Yeah, quarter life crisis. It's becoming a thing now. It's because I had the quarter life crisis before it was trendy. Went on from there to study theology and psychology with an emphasis on meaning and purpose. And in that, a couple things emerged while I was studying. Got my master's. One is, I love these questions. I love the questions of what does it mean to be human. And two, I love starting things, and I kind of found the permission, like, okay, maybe I just should stop worrying about which box I fit in and just make up my own way and be an entrepreneur.
Love that. Yeah.
So not too long after I finished that program, I started the Meaning Movement. Really, at that point, really focused on like career and what am I going to do with my life. Was building that, figuring out how to run a business, how to build something online. I also started a photography company at the time. Those are kind of the two tracks, I guess, to my career track. I don't know, my career journey. And shortly thereafter, was doing some work with SEO, got involved with the SEO team that took a pivot to be a PE team, started acquiring websites and then softwares, and they asked me to jump in and run a software company with them, and did really well there. When they acquired it, there were about 6 people on the team, grew to about 24. We more than almost tripled the valuation of the company in the just over 2 years that I was there, and got it under LOI to sell. And the next, that was kind of like the next stop on the track. I'm like, do I get off here? Do I keep going? Decided to jump over to the next track. I guess I'm using a lot of train analogies today.
That's all right. It's Christmas time. I feel like there's an overabundance of trains.
So I got on the next the Polar Express, one track over, which was a venture studio. So, and it's venture studio, not adventure studio. That was an adventure with a couple of business partners. There were 3 of us, and the idea was to build software, like take what I had been doing. One of those business partners was with that former company, and just see how far we can get, launching stuff, building stuff. The MO was build fast, launch fast, iterate, and then kill off the ones that don't work and double down on the ones that do. And we did 6 product cycles, and had 2 real winners from that, and kind of hit a wall. As I was doing that, a couple of things happened. One is one of the partners left. She was our CTO. We subbed in another team to replace her, and it just was not a good fit. At the same time, one of our main revenue driving software was Truscout was the company, had been doing really well, and it kind of hit a plateau and then started declining. And And so as like the partnership was starting to fall apart, the marketing engine was starting to fall apart, and I was taking on more and more. I was in the seat of CEO. So really, basically collecting all the things that fell through the cracks and all in the organization on my plate, and just working more and more, and feeling more and more burnt out by the whole process. All that led to, lots of probably multiple additional quarter life, I guess, leading to midlife crisis now that some years have passed, and eventually decided to wrap up the venture studio, exited those assets, and have since been a fractional CMO. Still doing the meaning movement all along the way as kind of this passion project that makes a little bit of money, but over the last 2 years of being a CMO, have doubled down on AI as AI has become more user friendly and more accessible. It's kind of coincided with the launch of ChatGPT, and started running my agency. It's really an agency. It's a CMO practice, but functionally it's an agency. As an AI first team. So I have a few contractors, and I lean heavy on AI. And just when I compare now to what the results I'm producing, the amount of work output I'm able to do for my clients with such a lean team and AI compared with these teams that I was running in the past, it blows my mind at how efficient I'm able to run. And so as I was doing that, this is the final turn, then I'll stop talking for a second. Realize that, there's, I don't know, maybe a special combination here of my background and interest in meaning and fulfillment and purpose, as well as AI and marketing and entrepreneurship and business, that adds up to, I think, a really unique perspective on AI, a really unique way of using AI. And so I've started, for this last year, been consulting around AI. So helping small business owners apply AI to their specific context. What that typically looks like is coming alongside them, doing an audit, figuring out where they can get the most out of what they're doing, and then building some tools, doing some education, often building automations to help them get more out of what they do. Which really, this is where it comes full circle back to the meaning and fulfillment stuff for me, is that I really see AI as an opportunity for us to do more of the work that matters to us by using AI to do a lot of less of the rest of the work. And I'm currently building a cohort model instead of a done for you model, a done with you model, that'll be launching in January of 2025 to do this work kind of as a group. So that's
awesome. I think journey. That brings us up to speed and sets up the rest of this conversation perfectly, because basically my journey is very similar. I spent a lot longer with one corporate thing than doing the startups and things that you were doing, but I really kind of have always been into technology and in a similar path of like really enjoying it, and seem to have some skill or talent that other people don't have. But I've also had this playful side where, Playful Humans is my side project and passion. I just released the book, and I'm hosting game shows. I got a holiday party this afternoon where I'm going to, put on wigs, dress up as Alec Trebek, and host Jeopardy for a holiday party. And, but also like, program and get into the nitty gritty and make stuff. So when I was on the radio in my 20s, I was, Romeo on air and the DJ, but I was also designing the websites and, launching streaming at the time in the 2000s and stuff, and doing some nerdy things behind the scenes. So I've always had these two, and I've had trouble reconciling them, but now I think everybody is going to have trouble reconciling them. I think there's some obvious answers. You've mentioned some. You work with, makers, artists, entrepreneurs, and creatives. I think with these AI tools, in a world where you can make anything now, at least anything digitally, the question for creators becomes, what do you want to make? What do you want to say? What's the meaning of what you're making? Are you making more crap just to make crap, or is there some heart and soul to it? But how do you balance this human versus tech conundrum we're all in?
I mean, I think it is a balance. I think at its best, AI is, like I said, you know, an opportunity to get closer into like, what's the impact that you want to make? What's the, you know, what's the story you want your life to tell? I think is really the kind of the existential question that all of us, you know, all of us avoid wrestling with, but have to at some point of like, why am I here? What is this about? And AI, for better and worse, is like an amplifier. I think it can amplify the meaning and the intention and the purpose that you want to, and impact that you want to create. And also it can amplify the noise and, you know, less signal, more noise, I guess is where I go with it. I really think that while AI, you know, it's inevitable that AI will surpass human intelligence, right? And I think even this week, the week of this recording, some breakthroughs have happened on with quantum computing, right? And then you layer on these chips that I've never even heard the number. They can do calculations at that would take a normal supercomputer like a septillion years to like complete, and it did it in a matter of a few minutes. It's like, okay, we're breaking into a whole new horizon where like if you just follow AI into the future, that's one thing, but then you layer on like quantum computing on top of that.
You know, it's funny. I was talking to a friend yesterday, I think, about, you know, intelligence is a spectrum. I think there's AI that's certainly, you know, more powerful than some of our humans and stuff. But there are still some humans that can outthink an AI. But I think you're right. I think in the near future, it's going to pretty clearly pass most of us, or at least the top AI tools will. And then there'll still be tools that are pretty dumb. They do what you tell them to do. You tell it to go, you know, find some emails on the internet or something, and it'll go do it. And it's a pretty dumb program, and that's okay. But
I think with all
fascinating what the roles become then.
And I think just to complete the thought of like, with these accelerants and with like, you know, AI surpassing human intelligence, you know, in the near not too distant future, it just adds, you know, another layer to that question of like, what does it actually mean to be human? Which is the question we've been asking, you know, for all of humanity, right? But now we have this mirror that's trained up of all the external ponderings of people on the internet and can replicate that. And so then what do we have left that makes us different?
What's your best answer to that question? What's the role of humans in the world with AI?
I think it's love. I think it's hope. I think it's kindness. I think it's sacrifice. I think it's the belief that like that, you know, can you answer the question with the question? But like the fact that we ask the question of why are we here? Like that in and of itself
is a big one.
Yeah.
For me, I think it boils up into the word play. What I chose, because there's some cool things that happen in a playful state. You do connect. You are kind. You test things. You experiment. You're curious. You're creative. You work with others and collaborate or build things. And I think if we had robots and AI to do everything we needed to do to support human life, then really what are we left? We're left to play and love and have fun and do whatever we want to express ourselves and enjoy the time that we have on this earth.
Yeah. And so as you think about AI, is that the future you're you know, trying to accelerate like in that direction? Because there's so many, right? There's so many possible futures. But I'm curious, you know, I mean, that's a beautiful picture.
Yeah, I think so. And really, I think we're very similar in what I do with Avenue 9 is kind of what I call high volume content marketing for people. Like if you have something to say, there's no reason why you don't say it now. I mean, we can record you on video, we can transcribe it, turn it into whatever we want. You can talk to us on a podcast on audio only, or you can write, you can do whatever your medium is. You can make it and we can turn it into something. The other thing is connecting people. So I've always kind of been passionate about connecting with audiences or large groups of people, where I think in the past it's been very expensive to reach large amounts of people, and large corporations had budgets to do mass media or create communities or other things, where now the variable cost of creating stuff has gotten so low on connecting that I think we're going to see a bunch of splintered communities, or we're going to see some really cool things come out of, like, if you have a company of 100 people, you should have an internal community that's brimming with conversations and creations and AI prompts and images and fun things and people expressing themselves. And if you are a channel seller and you've got, 50 to 1,000 resellers, you should be talking to them every day. You have the tools to make whatever you want to make now and make any connection you want to make.
Yes.
Like, now is the time. I think this is going to be the golden age here for the foreseeable future, which isn't very far. It used to be a lot further, but for the foreseeable future, there's this really cool opportunity. And then if the AI overlords take over 5 to 15 years from now, then I think it switches to, like, we're just here to be creative, know when to break the rules. I love what you said there about kind of being curious or confident enough to try something new, or to push back and sacrifice for other people, are things that I don't think are inherent in AI yet.
Yeah, no, I don't think so either. And like, it could be trained, right? But to what end? Is the question I come back to with that. Yeah.
I also think, so we're nerding out pretty early. Usually I save this for the end of the podcast, but I was hoping this one would be a little philosophical, because I'm excited to hear somebody else that thinks about this a lot, what their opinion is.
Yeah.
I think there also is going to be, and there obviously already are, there's a huge difference between robots and humans, right? So there are jobs that robots are clearly designed to do better, especially dangerous jobs or mass amounts of data and things like that. But there are also things currently that humans are more designed to do. But I'm thinking of it more like almost like a different species, where, like, we don't really compete with whales. We don't.
That's right. Yeah.
There's not, we do some things sometimes unintentionally to hurt them, and AI might do that to us, but we're not, we're two totally different things. We don't live in their world. We don't know what it's like in the ocean underwater all the time.
Such a good analogy.
While we might both be mammals or be able to do similar things, it's not even a competition. So it's not robots versus humans. It's kind of humans and robots, or they're going to be doing a different thing. What's your take there?
No, I think as a really fascinating analogy, right? Like, you some species from another planet comes and looks at, like, us, puts a human next to a whale, and, like, oh, they're both, like, kind of similar. They look a little different, but, like, they're pretty similar.
Yeah, they breathe, they eat, they breathe, they do their things.
Yeah, that's a great point. Where it takes me, especially going back to, like, what are robots good at, is I think this is the opportunity for creatives and I mean, anyone at this moment with AI, is, it takes me back to the Industrial Revolution and the invent of the factory, and which is a machine, right? People were trained up, like, you built your assembly lines so that every spot on the line had a very specific job that you could do over and over, so you can have the least educated person doing that job, and the only output was for them to, turn that screw, put that thing, whatever, do whatever that thing is. And literally, if you read some of the texts of some of the thought leaders who are building these things, like, they clearly say that the role of the factory, of a well-built factory, is so that the employees don't need to think. They should not have to think. We don't even want them to think. The thinking is for the factory owners and managers, right? And so now, and I think that's where, so we've been in that modality for a long time now. And I think that, education is based off that, jobs are based off that. And now we have AI that's able to do a lot more of that, which then should, right, take up more of, and of course, like, jobs are going to be lost. Jobs are being lost. And that is painful. But the opportunity is that, like, let's let AI take those jobs, or I want to put it differently, because that sounds lacking compassion. Let's let AI take those parts of our jobs, so that then we can find better and higher level jobs where our work is not just rote, repetitive, but it's emotional. Like, so that the work that the robots can do is stuff that the robots are good at, and then we can do the things that the robots can't do, which again comes back to emotion. It comes back to feeling. It comes back to the creativity that I think the robots can facilitate or emulate. I mean, but is not in the same way that humans can.
Yeah, I agree. I think a few things come to mind there. Number one is we can all agree there's some jobs like, bomb disposal or some sort of, toxic mining that we don't want humans doing. Right.
Yes.
So then the question just becomes, well, where is that line? Right.
Where's the line?
Hopefully we can outsource all of our most dangerous jobs, and unless they're things that people enjoy doing, like extreme sports or something like that. You don't necessarily need to see robots
squirrel shoot jumping.
Yeah, exactly. And then I think also that I'm a little concerned that it's going to go too fast this time. In the industrial revolutions and internet revolution, it was pretty slow over decades, and this time I think it might be 3 to 5 years, and a lot of people are going to have to find different careers or
I totally
reskill in some way. So that's going to be a big challenge. And then I wanted to ask you specifically for knowledge workers and give people a ton of value, especially if they've, sat through our ramblings and philosophical discussion.
Yeah. Right.
Like, what are you outsourcing? You're helping people do this and, create AI workflows in their business. What are the most common things? What are the no-brainer ones? What are your favorite tools? And what are some things that you wish we were ready, but maybe we're not there yet?
Totally. I think workflows is the biggest thing. And so that can be, it's like a bit of a Swiss Army knife of a word, but the things that you're doing over and over in your business and the output that has obviously like the highest value to your business, you already named some of it. Like if you can transcribe it, then you can do anything you want with it. Right. And so helping a lot of content creators right now, I'm really focused on like serving the top 1% content creators and often those folks don't necessarily think of themselves as content creators, and they think of themselves as consultants or thought leaders. But they know that content in a marketing flywheel driven by content is a big value to them. So getting more out of their their thought and their thought leadership. That just to get more tactical with that, it starts with like, let's train up some AI on your content so that you can, when you have something that you need created, it's not going to necessarily do it for you. It could, but it'll get you moving faster. And so I think of AI as being a really great jumpstart into anything that you need to create. So you're not staring at a blinking cursor anymore. And so then you can get in really, from a felt standpoint, get into like a flow state of creation faster and better. And then once you've actually done the creation, right, you've created the thing, you've taught the class, you've given the webinar, you recorded the podcast, you don't have to go and do it again and again and all the other, take that podcast and do all the other things that you want to do with it, right? Because you have an AI who knows how you communicate, you're feeding it content you've already made, and then it's repurposing that into other things. So doing a lot of that kind of work. And then when it comes to workflows, a lot of automations around the different aspects of a business, from some of the things I've done are, client onboarding for agencies to take everything, download everything that they need from their client to get it out, distribute it out to the different team members so that there's a knowledge base that can be used to get the work done, and just streamlining all of that so much more efficiently. What else? Some prospect.
What's your favorite AI tool right now?
What's my? That's a hard. It's a hard question to.
What's your favorite model? Are you
let's talk about it. My favorite
AI
model. I really love Claude. Claude Sonnet right now is their top model, and it's fantastic. I have not played with the new ChatGPT Pro yet, and I've heard it's awesome. So I've been very impressed with the preview, and that's really, that's been great. But as far as like the actual tool, I don't do a lot with like a lot of the niche tools. I think a lot of those tools are going to die in the next few years, to be honest. And
they'll just all be incorporated. If they're good, they'll be bought up. And
stuff. But like, and so I stick to the basics, but TypingMind is a big one, which is a UI for, all the major models. Do a lot with TypingMind. And then some of the maybe more specific tools that I use a ton is Talktastic is one of them, which is an AI transcription tool. You just hit a button and talk into your computer, it transcribes it and pops it into whatever window you have open, and it's content aware, so it looks at what's on your screen and
yeah, nice.
Make sure you have your spelling right and all that. And there's a couple others. Whisper is another one that's kind of in that space. And then a lot with as far as automations, like Zapier is doing some great stuff, Make's doing some great stuff, Relevance, Stack AI, N8N. And there's a lot on that front. And that's I think where we're going to see the biggest benefit in the next few years. Is that I think workflow creation. As I'm talking about, like a workflow doesn't necessarily mean an automation, but a workflow can be automated once it's established and documented and consistent. And I think it's going to become easier and easier to create those workflows, and probably even right now it's low code or no code, and I'm pretty we're on the verge of like just having an AI that we just tell it what we want it to do and it can go and do all the things.
Yeah, I've seen some demos that are at least working. Like I think we've passed the part where this challenge is like mythical and like it's going to get better. It's
inevitable.
Do the things, but it's only going to get better. I saw a video on YouTube this week about Do Browser.
Do Browser.
And it's like a Chrome plugin that you can pop open and just tell it to do anything you do on the internet. Like, hey, open my Gmail and respond to the unread messages or whatever, and go find,
that's great.
Find these 3 people in my contacts and email them an invite to the meeting this afternoon and check my calendar when there's an open time, and it'll go and look at all of that stuff and do it like a real virtual assistant, which is
that's what I'm talking about.
Crazy. We're almost getting that
it's
close.
It's just inevitable. We're almost there. Yeah.
What about specifically for marketing? I know we're kind of doing similar things there too, and I'm fascinated for these creators. Like, what's working for you, and maybe what's one thing that's not working for you?
What's working great for me is brand voice. Building training documents so that I can have that. I have a 5-part framework that I use for all of my work. Which it's just like a checklist of like, here's the task I'm trying to accomplish, and how do I give AI everything it needs to do it well. And so then building the documentation so that anytime I'm needing to do that on repeat, it's easily accessible. And then that can be applied to a handful of different things, from creating content in mass and automating it, creating SEO optimized blog posts at scale, doing taking any sort of email campaigns, all that kind of creation, everything on that side, social posts, everything on that side. I mean, like, there's very little.
Social is fun because I think we all kind of struggle with different ways to say it, and it's such a beast to feed is the way I call it. It's like every single day we need something new, and you're like, I just, as a human, like, at least I don't have that much to say, or especially on behalf of my clients, because I'm not I'm not that involved in their
closer
business.
to a finished product much faster. It's really powerful, and I think that's one of the things that's interesting is like you're mentioning earlier, just about just the creative moment we're in. It's the first time in history where it takes less time to make the thing than it does to consume it. Like I could write you a book in a few minutes that'll take you hours to read, right? Which is wild.
It is wild, and I think we're going to eventually hit some sort of content peak.
Totally.
So far, we still haven't hit it. There's still more people consuming more stuff than ever, and there's a lot of things being made that nobody ever consumes. But I think there's still growth to be had. There still seems to be more content and opportunities available, but not for very much longer, I have a feeling.
I agree.
Tell us about how we can help you or how you can help us.
So I work with small business owners. I should say small to midsize. My biggest client is a $20 million company. And it often starts with like how can you get more out of the AI? And I think that's where my business background can really help kind of look for the inefficiencies and my knowledge of AI. And so that's one piece. If people are looking to get more done, be more efficient, and really, I think, get ahead of the wave, ride the wave rather than get run over by it. Would love to help with that transition. I'm really focused right now also on serving the top 1% creators in the same ways. I see that there's just a ton of benefit that I've been able to add to those folks in their businesses, building a cohort AI coaching model. It's really an AI coaching community that launches in January. So we'll be doing weekly training sessions and then weekly office hours where I'll be really building these kinds of workflows, the things that we've been talking about here, live with people and basically helping people apply AI to their specific context. And what I've seen in all of my consulting is that you just have to have the eyes to see it. And the more you can see what other people are doing, the more you can understand and apply it to your own specific context. So super excited to be doing this in a group setting for the first time.
That'll be fascinating. And I think creators and entrepreneurs always have ideas when they see something.
Totally.
Oh, we could do this with it, which is so fun. Yeah. And as far as Avenue 9 goes, we help, like I said, high volume content marketing people. So if you've got something to say, or you've got an audience you need to engage, maybe you're an industry or a association or a membership group, you just got a bunch of employees and you want to create profiles to feature your members and people like that, or have your own internal podcast, we would love to help out. And I think that's about it. Until next time, Good luck. Have fun, everybody. Keep going.